Well, they got a new dance and it goes like this. Hello, everybody. This is Joey Dee from the Starlighters, and you're interviewing the legends with my pal, Ray Shasho.
Hello, once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Rockstar Chronicles Series 1, my new book, featuring over 45 intimate conversations with the greatest music legends the world will ever know. Available now at bookbaby.com and amazon.com. Joey Dee is rock and roll history, the true, exciting, and endearing chronicle of a Jersey boy scoring a #1 hit record and the life adventures he wasn't prepared for. This is so much more than a rock bio. It's sometimes dark and gritty tale of redemption involving Jimi, Hendrix, the Beatles, the Rascals, Joe Pesci, Judy Garland, John Wayne, Jackie Kennedy, Nat King Cole, Shirley, MacLaine, Tennessee Williams, Truman, Capote, and Liberace, also Salvador, Dali, and of course, Dick Clark. The list goes on and on. There's humor dealing with racism, love, deeply emotional situations, and ultimately triumph. Hey, this is what Julian Lennon says, our buddy. Sex, booze, and rock and roll. Peppermint Twist Chronicles is an explosive, revealing look at rock and roll through the eyes of Joey Dee, the man who was there to see it firsthand on the ground floor. Joey tells us of launching superstars and legends, a dance craze, mobsters, sex, and 60s rock and roll, and a good read that makes you feel as though you were sharing their journey with them. Love that. So it's a true story of sex, rock and roll, Jimi Hendrix fighting racism in the mob. It goes on and on. The FBI, the Rascals, Joe Pesci, Don Rickles, Dick Clark, and more. Please welcome a genuine rock and roll legend, Joey Dee, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Joey.
Hey, Ray. Thank you for the kind words. And I don't believe a word of it. One person couldn't have done all that.
It's a great
but
book,
I did.
man.
But I did.
It's amazing, isn't it, that you did all that?
Yeah, and I think part of that was because of being a Jersey boy and growing up in Passaic, New Jersey. And we were 8 miles from the Lincoln Tunnel. So I knew once I got through that tunnel and made a record and got into a nightclub, we'd become famous. I really had a confident feeling about it, Ray.
You know, all the greats came from Jersey, you know?
Well, not all, but a lot of them. Considering the size of the state of New Jersey, you know, from Connie Francis to Frank Sinatra, Jimmy Rosselli, Frankie Valli, the Shirelles. I went to high school with the Shirelles in Passaic, New Jersey, and they got me my first record deal with Scepter Records, their label. So Shirley, Doris, Beverly, and Mickey, I love you forever.
That's amazing. It really is. Of course, Frank, one of my heroes from Hoboken. I saw Frank many times.
Yeah, terrific. Well,
yeah.
The #1, you know, Blue Eyes, it didn't get better than that. And you know what? There have been some imitators that have come along since his passing, but there's only one Frank Sinatra, man.
That's true.
Sorry about that.
And he had the greatest band in the world backing him up. He really did.
Are you kidding? And the Rat Pack. Yep. And you didn't mention Sammy Davis Jr.
Yep.
Was a good friend of mine, part of the Rat Pack, and one of the greatest. I consider, pound for pound, the all-around best entertainer of all time.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And listen to this. There was a show for I Spy when it came out with Cosby and Culp.
Yep.
So I get a call. I'm living in the Bronx at the time. I get a call from Sammy Davis Jr. Tomorrow night, he says, we're doing a special party for Culp and Cosby. Can you come to Wilt the Stilts? Well, it was Wilt Chamberlain's at the time in Harlem, and be part of our celebration. And I said, wow, I'd be honored. So I show up the next night, and he says, can you sing the Peppermint Twist? I said, I can sing it, but I don't have my music or anything with me. He says, I already rehearsed the band. They're cool.
Wow.
He said, no problem. I said, okay, if you're ready, I'm ready. So I get to sing the Peppermint Twist, and guess who's singing Baba Shoo Bop for Joey Dee? The great Sammy Davis Jr.
Incredible.
I have a picture of it, and it's in the book as well. So I mean, the things that have happened to me in show business are incredulous.
Well, you were at the right place at the right time. I mean, the 60s, early 60s is where everything happened, man. You know?
When it came to rock and roll, you're exactly right. And I used
Yeah.
to listen to WNJR, which just played R&B, and they were
Right.
from Newark, New Jersey, and I just loved the R&B and the doo-wop sound, and I'm still hooked on it. And I'm still singing shows. I'll be doing the Count Basie Theater
Oh,
on
wow.
Saturday
Right.
with a plethora of stars of my friends for the last 50, 55 years, and we're gonna have a ball there, and it's in Red Bank, New Jersey, of course.
Right. Joey, you look fantastic, man, and very dapper.
Why, thank you so much. Well, there's another story. Ray, I'm going to call you Ray Ray.
Sure.
Because I have a cousin that's Ray, and he's from Connecticut, and we don't call him Ray. It's Ray Ray. So you're going to be Ray Ray for the rest of the interview.
Okay.
And then you could go back to the single Ray. Okay? But
I've been Ray Ray all my life, and we call my son Ray Ray. So I'm used to it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How cool that is.
The only
My dad
guy
was Joe, I'm Joe, and I got a son, Joe. So we got three of us.
Cool.
Yeah.
The only guy that's close to being as dapper as you are. I had Marshall Thompson on last week from the Shy Lights.
Wow.
And man.
Oh, girl.
Yeah, he looked pretty darn good.
I love it. Well, in 1962, Ray, here's what happened. They have the top 10 best dressed in the country every year. So 1962, I was one of the top 10.
Yep.
Listen to some of the company: Dick Clark,
right?
Ab Hunter, President John F. Kennedy.
Wow.
Joey Dee and the Starliters from State, New Jersey. Are you kidding me? I mean, the things that have happened have just been miraculous, and I thank God for each and every wonderful thing. And getting back to the book, Peppermint Twist Chronicles, it's not just a book about what went on behind the scenes in rock and roll. You can imagine what went on. Jimi Hendrix was with the group for a year. Pesci was with me. So we got great stories about those guys. But it's more of a history book. It tells you what was going on in the world during the early 1960s.
Right.
So if you want to really get a good book to a friend who loves history, who loves rock and roll, Peppermint Twist Chronicles, Amazon, or go to joeydee.com and click on it. And man, oh man, it'll probably be the best book. And here comes Hanukkah and Christmas or birthday. Right. You can't beat it, man.
Let's start with Jimi Hendrix.
And Ray, I want to tell you, there's some things in there. I'm not very proud of myself because I wasn't a real, I didn't live up to my expectations some of the times. I just, but it's all in the book, man.
Hey, at least you were honest. You know, a lot of people hold back.
It's real, and it was fun, but there's about 10% of it where, I was very honest. And here's what happened, Ray. I told my wife when I was writing this, and this has taken 11 years to come to fruition.
Right.
I said to my wife, Joan, I said, listen, I'm going to say things. If I write this book the way I'm supposed to, that are going to be hurtful to you. And she said, make it real. And I did. And everything's in it, man.
That's hard to do. It really is.
Yeah. You don't want to hurt the people you love.
Exactly. You know, I wrote a book about growing up in the family business in the early 60s. I held back. There's a lot of things I didn't put in there.
Yeah, because there's certain people you don't want to hurt.
I would hurt them, right?
But I hurt myself as well in the book, and that's fine. That I can take it. I'm a Jersey boy, and I can handle it. But when it came to hurting other people, I was a little reluctant.
Exactly.
But there's some stories in there that I did hurt some people along the way.
Yep.
And it's all in there. And the stories of the people I worked with, like I I'm doing 10 countries in Europe in 1963,
Mhm.
and I get to Stockholm, Sweden. I'm looking on the billboard and I see one of the names, the Beatles.
Mhm.
And I had heard about them when I was in Germany at the Star Club in Hamburg.
Yeah.
And they got on stage that night. They preceded me. They were opening act.
Yeah.
Joey Dee. I mean,
That's
it,
something.
you can't believe all this. I don't tell people because I wouldn't believe it. Because I'm skeptical and and cynical. So it's not a true story, but it is.
Yep.
So they
Sure
did
is.
such a great job. I threw a party for them that night at the Hotel Forest in Stockholm, Sweden,
Mhm.
and we had a ball.
Mhm.
And George comes up to me and said, Joey, thank you for treating us so kindly. When
Mhm.
we come to the States, we're going to come see you at the Peppermint Lounge.
Right.
I said, yeah. I said, yeah, okay. You know how we are.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. You're going to come see me.
Yep.
So they came to the States, and you know what happened when
Oh
after
yeah.
that. They came to the Peppermint Lounge, all four of them.
I saw the
All
footage.
four, man.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible. The things
Wow.
that have happened to me. And I got to meet biggest names in show business. I have 7 people that were Starlighters, Ray,
Mhm.
that are in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
One's in the English Hall of Fame,
Mhm.
and one won an Academy Award. So I got a pretty good eye for talent, I think. But then again, like you say, the right place at the right time. I'm in New York City. Gene Krupa's,
That's right.
playing down the street, down in the village. Bob Dylan's playing at the Cafe Wa. So,
Right.
and I'm playing Joey D's in the Starlight in the
Amazing.
Peppermint Lounge.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Did you know that Hendrix was such a great guitarist back then, or was
Oh
he
heck
just
yeah!
yeah?
Well, here's what happened. I was in need of a guitar player because we had turnover in the band after
Sure.
the halcyon days, I would call them,
Right.
when the Peppermint Twist was #1 and all that good stuff. So I had a drum, Jimmy Mays, who's from Chicago,
Mhm.
and I said, Jimmy, we got to get a guitar player. And he said, you know what? There's a dude just came off the road with Little Richard and the Isley Brothers. I said, well, he must be great. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll have my nephew take you to pick him up in the city and bring him to my house in Lodi, New Jersey, where I was living at the time, and have him audition.
Right.
This dude comes in the house. He got a bandana around his head. He got a guitar without a case. It had a cloth bag, like almost like a little mat or a match,
Mhm.
a floor mat
Right.
covering the guitar. So he comes in with this little guitar in the other hand, little amp in the other hand, and he plugs the amp in, plugs the guitar in, said, what would you like to hear, Mr. D? I said, first of all, it's Joey. Secondly, play what you like, what kind of music you like to play.
Mhm.
So he starts playing Curtis Mayfield.
Right.
And I'm an R&B guy. As soon as he
Sure.
started doing that, I said, no need to go any further. I said, man, you got the gig. And then there's a story that comes after that about Jimi Hendrix after I gave him the gig,
Mhm.
but you got to see it. It's in the book,
Yeah.
and it's something that's incredible. But it happened. It really happened. And then the times that we had together, you can just imagine the parties we had.
How about Mr. Pesci? How did you guys get together? Was he from the old neighborhood or
Well, yeah, Joe is from Belleville. I'm from Passaic, maybe
okay?
10, 15 miles apart.
Right.
But he was in a band with a kid, Billy Callanan from Nutley, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And every year there'd be a battle of the bands in New Jersey. And every year, Joey Dee and the Starlighters won. So I'm proud of that. Now, this is in the 50s. This is 57, 58.
Right.
So we came in first and their band came in second. So you know what Pesci does? He quit their band and joined my band. That's what he did. And then when I got to do the movie Hey Let's Twist for Paramount, after we got some success and the Peppermint Twist came out, he said, can you get me to be an extra or something?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the director and I said, I got a real good friend. I'd like him to be in the movie. Just an extra. He said, can he do the twist? I said, he can do anything. So in the movie Hey Let's Twist, which is the first movie he ever appeared in, my movie for Paramount.
Yep.
He's doing the twist, and you can see him. He mugs right up to the camera. He knew what he was doing. He knew he was going to be a star. And
Yeah.
hey, cousin Vinny, Casino, you know,
He's
I mean,
incredible.
let's go, Goodfellas.
Yeah.
It doesn't get the man's. He's an icon. He's an
Yeah.
icon, an Academy Award winner, and
Yep.
I'm proud to call him my friend.
Yeah. You know, when
Frankie Valli and the other guys,
of course,
I used to go see them because they were my heroes when they were the Four Lovers. Tommy DeVito on guitar, Nick Machoch on bass, Bobby Gaudio playing keyboards, and the great Frankie Valli, man. Frankie's playing a little cocktail drum. That was the group, the Four Lovers, and you know they became who they became. And I met Bob Valli when I was working at the Passaic Armory. They came in short shorts, the Royal Teens. He was like 15 or 16 years old. I might have been 18 at the time. I'm a few years older. So he came in and that's the first time I met Bob Gaudio from the Four Seasons, and the songs he wrote, memorable and everlasting.
You remember the albums that had the Four Seasons versus the Beatles? They always had those albums.
Yeah, I remember one that was a little different. Was Ray Charles versus B.B. King. That's when I was growing up. But I don't remember that particular one. But Tommy DeVito is a very, very dear friend of mine. Lived in Vegas. He just passed away a few months ago. And, I stayed with him for maybe 6 days when I got inducted into the Las Vegas Hall of Fame. So I'm not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I'm in the East Coast Hall of Fame, Vegas Hall of Fame. I'm in the Mohegan Sun Wall of Fame. So I got credentials. But you know what? The most proud thing that I have done in show business, Ray, is this. Back in 1950s, I had the first integrated rock and roll / doo-wop group in the country. And we became the first integrated band to have a #1 hit on Billboard.
Wow.
That's my crowning achievement and the most proud that I am of everything I've done in show business.
You should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I got my vote.
You know what? They have certain parameters and certain guidelines, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's not my goal. My goal is to get my story out, Ray. Get the book out and let people really see what it was like back in the late 50s and early 1960s, which I consider the genesis of rock and roll. Read about it. You'll get an education. And there's another thing maybe you're unaware of. I went to Patterson State College. I was going to become a school teacher. I wanted to be a teacher and a professor of English and history.
Okay.
So here comes the history part.
Yep.
So I think I did it quite well. And I went 2 years it's now William Patterson College. It became university. But when I went there, it was a prairie in Wayne, New Jersey.
Right.
So my mother, she was born in Sicily, and she said, "You got to get education, Joey." And I said, "Mom, I love music so much. I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. I'll take off 1 year, and if I don't make it in a year, I'll go back to college." That year, I worked at Olivery's in Lodi, New Jersey. An agent comes in from New York, says, "You want to work in New York? You get a gig in a Peppermint Lounge." The rest, I don't have to tell you what to say.
Incredible.
And I kept my word. You know, I do have some regrets that I never got my degree. I always wanted my degree. I love education.
Right.
But, you know, I got so fortunate. And as you put it succinctly, and I agree with you totally, the right place at the right time. It couldn't have been better. Couldn't have been better.
My daughter's an English teacher, and my son-in-law is a history teacher.
Well, there you go. And there you go. And they're my heroes.
Yeah.
You know, the teachers and all the first responders for all the stuff we're going through. I have a daughter-in-law that's a nurse, and it's just incredible what's going on. And let's get through this thing.
Sure.
God willing, we'll get through this, and we will.
Yep.
And we're still the greatest country in the world, man.
Sure.
And but you learn from your history, and you don't make the same mistakes you made
Exactly.
the first time, man.
That's why you
So-
can't tear down history, because you learn from your mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I just got an email this morning, Ray, from
Mhm.
Tony Orlando,
Okay.
holding up my book and espousing how great it is. And he
Cool.
came to see me with Dick Clark, Joanne Campbell, and Glenn Campbell
Mhm.
before the Peppermint Twist was a hit.
Wow.
They stopped into the Peppermint Lounge. But the person responsible for making it famous was Merle Oberon, the great actress, because
Mhm.
I'm a great movie buff. And she
Okay.
came in with Charlie Knickerbocker, the newspaper writer for the Daily News. And that's what started this whole free for all.
It's amazing, huh?
Yeah, right place, man. And I was there at the right night.
Yep.
And I was doing Hank Ballard's version of the twist.
Mm-hmm.
So this preceded everything.
Yeah.
And she got up and danced with the kids, and he wrote about it the next day. And they didn't spend 10 cents on advertising and became the world's most famous nightclub. How's that?
That is amazing.
All because of
Yeah.
serendipity. It
Yep.
just seemed to happen.
You did pretty
And
good.
I'm proud to have been part of it.
You did pretty good with Shout too, right? The song
Yeah,
Shout.
well,
Yeah.
listen, as far as I'm concerned, and here I go again, because I
Mhm.
like to be honest. I
Yeah.
tell it like it is. If you ask my opinion, I'm going to give it to you.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't want to hear it, so then don't ask. But the Isley Brothers did the best version of Shout ever. They never had a top 10 with it. Why?
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it was in the movie, with Belushi and those
Right.
guys.
Yeah.
Otis Day and the Nights. They did a
Animal
version,
House.
good
Yeah.
version. But my version went to number 6 on Billboard, the only one that ever made the top 10. And I always tell people, listen, if you want to hear Shout, get a record by the Isley Brothers. That's the definitive version.
Mhm.
But that's how I feel. My opinion. One
Yeah.
man's opinion.
I had Tommy James on the show many times. Great guy. Morris Levy.
Now we have a connection here. Tommy's a very dear friend of mine. We're both on Roulette Records.
Yeah.
I preceded Tommy by about 6 or 7 years,
Uh-huh.
but we both didn't get paid. We both got screwed from Morris Levy.
Did you get your money back? I know Tommy did. He got a lot of
Well, he was more fortunate. And let's face it, Tommy wrote so many hit records.
Yeah.
I'm so happy he got his money back. And
Yeah.
I'll be seeing him talking to him anyway this weekend when I go up to New Jersey. But I got 13. Here's my first statement I get from Roulette. I owed them $13,000. I had the number 1 record and the number 2 album. And I said, I owe you money. Then I find out Roulette is owned and Peppermint Lounge is owned by the Genovese family.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to argue with somebody?
Exactly.
Now, you ever see Sopranos?
Yeah,
I don't
Cash.
think you want to argue with those people,
Cash.
okay? And I'm from Jersey, so I met some of the boys here
Sure.
and there, and they're all good guys. It wasn't my thing. Music was my thing.
Mhm.
But then he finally, I think because my name ended in a vowel and I knew a couple of people too, he finally gave me one check for $8,000 and one for $5,000. So there was a 13 that I was supposed to owe him.
Yeah.
And he said to me, kid, here's the deal. I make the money with the records.
Mhm.
You're going to make money performing.
Right.
Did I argue with him? Not if I wanted my kneecaps or if I wanted to keep breathing. So I didn't. But the man could pick a hit record.
Yeah, he could.
When he discovered Tommy
Exactly.
James from a demo record that he gotten from Pittsburgh.
Well, Tommy gives him a lot of kudos. I mean, he does say he got ripped off, but he says if it wasn't for Morris Levy, there would be no Tommy James. So
Same with Joey Dee. Exactly.
yeah.
I just told you, the man can pick hit records and he can pick talent.
Yeah.
But he didn't pay anybody.
He didn't pay
And
anybody.
he didn't have to.
Yeah.
They
I
own
grew up-
Birdland too,
Oh, that's right.
all the jazz people. And
That's
there's
right.
some jazz stuff that are in this book. I can't believe all the little stories I put in this book. that were co-written with me by Kevin Morris, a guy from Utah that I had never met. Here's how that happens, Ray. I live in Clearwater, Florida, so I go to Tampa Airport. I'm flying to Cleveland.
Mhm.
I meet Gary Puckett in the airport. We're both
Right.
going to Cleveland, same
Yep.
gig. So he says, "You finish your book yet?" I said, "I'm a songwriter. I'm not a book writer." So he says, "I know this guy in Utah." I said, "Utah?" He said, "Yes." He said, "This guy, call him up and see if you two have the chemistry and you click." I
Mhm.
called up this guy, Kevin Morris, and we clicked instantly. And now he wants to become a Jersey boy. I said, "You can't. You got to be born there." But anyway, I told him the stories over a year and a half, and he recorded them. And then he put them on with pen and ink on paper. And then we had the book printed, and we went through Amazon, and he did a fabulous job. I mean, the kudos he's getting from Norman Knight, Cousin Brucey, uh, Sir Barry Gibb, Frankie Valli, all of these people are saying how great the book is. Tony Orlando, Larry Chance, Jay Siegel, all my friends, Shirley from the Shirelles, Ronnie from the Ronettes, Aaron Neville. You want me to continue? I'm not going to continue. Right? That should be enough.
I had Connie Francis on the show. Does she know about the book?
She didn't write a book. Is she in the book?
No. I've had her on my show. Do you
Yeah,
want me to tell her about the book?
When I got inducted to the East Coast Hall of Fame,
right,
she was there,
yeah,
and I took pictures with her, and I love her to death.
Yeah.
And when I had the #1 band in Jersey,
right,
whenever stars came through, like she was at the Stanley Theater, they called me to be the backup band. So I backed her up with "Who's Sorry Now,"
yeah,
and then we also have another confluence where she was on a Ted Mack show, and so was I. So and so is Frank Sinatra.
Wow.
So, I mean, we have a lot of. I don't know what's going on in New Jersey. I don't know if it's the water or it's the beach. You know what I always say it is, Ray? In New Jersey, if you come from Jersey, you got an attitude.
Yeah.
And New York has their thing too, but it's not like Jersey. Jersey is we go to the shore. We don't go to the seashore. We go to the shore. Okay?
I agree.
That's how it is.
Yeah. My family on my dad's side, they're all from Bensonhurst, from Brooklyn.
Well, there you go, man.
No attitude there too.
I love it. And I lived in the Bronx for 10 years. So I got the great vibe, and I raised some of my family.
Right.
I have 7 children, and I come from a family of 10. 10.
Sure.
I have 5 sisters and 4 brothers.
Yeah.
My mother was born in Ribera, Provincia Agrigento, Sicilia, in Sicily. My father was from Abruzzo, so he's Abruzzese, and he comes from Morodoro. So, I mean, they met in Garfield, New Jersey, fell in love, had 10 kids, moved to Passaic, and
wow,
8 of us were born in New Jersey. Passaic. I mean, so this is great. And here's what they always taught me, and this has been my mantra. It's almost word for word. Well, Martin Luther King said, judge people by the content of their character.
Sure.
So when it came to my getting along with people, that was always how I treated people. There were good people and bad. Good people I hung around with. The bad people, stay away from me.
Sure.
Okay, I got nothing to do with you.
Yep.
We have nothing in common. So my mantra was, and I always say, judge people for my band by the content of their talent, and look at who's been in my band. So I had a pretty good eye for talent, and I judged. And this is in the 50s. This is before the Peppermint Lounge. One of the guys, David MacLaine, who played guitar for me, he went and got a real job. He became assistant superintendent of schools in New Jersey, Passaic. Okay.
Right.
So, and my drummer became a captain in the Marine Corps, an attorney, a Supreme a Superior Court judge in Bergen County.
Wow.
Tony Shudo was with my first band. We started out with 3 guys. I played harmonica. I was 8 years old, and we started the band, the Thunder Trio. Tony Shudo, who has all those wonderful resume features, and John Yannick, who became a policeman today, was my guitar player, and we were awful, but we played for free. So we did all the charitable organizations in Passaic at the time, and that's how we started.
Were you always a sax guy, or did you play other instruments?
I started with the harmonica. That was the first thing.
Right.
And then I took clarinet, and we had a lend-lease kind of program in Passaic.
Okay.
If you played in the school band, they'd loan you an instrument. So
Mhm.
my younger sister had the clarinet, and I took the clarinet, and I said,
Right.
clarinet is good because I love big band music, and I have I'm
Me
number
too.
8 out of the 10. So I was indoctrinated in big band, and I love Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, Jimmy
Mhm.
Dorsey, and all of those guys. And then I said, rock and roll, I gotta have to play the saxophone. So I picked up the alto saxophone, and that was my instrument of choice. And that's what I played at the Peppermint Lounge. And I was a background singer. And that's another story.
Mhm.
How did you become the lead singer on Peppermint Twist? I had the 2 best singers in New Jersey,
Right.
Rogers Freeman, David Bergotti. You heard the name from the Rascals. He's in the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
I picked the 2 of these guys. They couldn't get a gig because they were doo-wop singers. They sang on street corners. Now, I had the best band, but I had no singers. So we played only instrumentals. So I said, I'm going to get the 2 best singers, and I got the best band. We got a shot, man. So we're working at Oliveri's, and that's when we were heard. We had the place was packed every night. That's what made this agent stop by to see what was going on. And he hired us and put us in the Peppermint Lounge. So I'm going to run down from when I first started, 8 years old, with Dutchie and Johnny and
Yeah.
the Thunder Trio, and how we matriculated up the ladder to the Peppermint. And then the hard times fell with the English and the British invasion.
British invasion, yeah.
We're all out of work,
Right.
except for Motown,
Yep.
Bee Gees, and my boys, the Jersey Boys,
Yeah.
Valley, and the Four Seasons. Nobody else made it.
What were you thinking at that time when the British invasion took over? Were you thinking about maybe a different sound, or what do you think?
I was devastated.
Really?
Yeah, I was devastated because now we were relegated. I would be where I used to make $5,000 and $10,000 a gig. Now I was making $500 a gig.
Mhm.
But I had 2 sons, and I had a family to support.
Mhm.
So I was doing the Ramada, the Holiday Inn,
Yeah.
Joe's Bar and Grill, all the dives, man,
Yeah.
all the dives. But so when the British came in, hey, they came in with their sound, and
Yeah.
they were accepted, and they're very, very successful. And a lot of them are Peter Noon, good friend of mine,
Mhm.
the Beatles. I
Mhm.
told you the story, and a lot of it's in the book, and it tells you the hardships that I went through.
Right.
It's not all fun and games, kiddo. Rock and roll is my life. That's what I've done for the last 60 plus years. I wouldn't do anything else other than music, and I'm still doing it.
Mhm.
I thank God that I'm still able. I still sing my songs, Peppermint Twist Shout,
Right.
What Kind of Love Is This, in the same keys I recorded them.
Amazing.
What a blessing!
Amazing.
It's a blessing. I can't attribute it to anything but the Almighty, man.
Yeah.
And I was an altar boy. So, but let me tell you, Ray, I want to tell you this, and I haven't used this before. And I was an altar boy, but I wasn't a saint.
That's funny.
And that's what I got to say, man. That's how we do it in Jersey.
The same thing happened when the British invasion came in, when disco came in, the same thing happened. It kind of wiped rock and roll out a little bit.
Pretty much, but disco, here's what I did like about disco.
Mhm.
Okay. They dressed up.
Yes.
They looked great. The girls wore nice dresses.
You're right.
The guys wore a suit and a tie.
Mhm.
Nowadays, I still wear this getup because of
Right.
the Peppermint Lounge. I wear the red and white all the time. But I see the acts now, they're
I
making
know.
millions and millions of dollars.
You're right.
Spend a couple of hundred and buy a suit. Don't, don't go on stage looking like you're wearing the same thing you went to bed with.
It's true.
But that's my opinion.
And they get away with it. You know?
I'm the old school Ray, and you know what?
Yep.
It's never going to change.
I'm old school too. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And then the big show I did it when the first gig I did with the Four Seasons
Right.
was in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Fox, man, for Murray Kay in the swinging soiree.
Murray the K.
And that's in the book. And there's a story about him in there. You got to read it. You won't believe it. And
Yeah.
I promise not to ever mention it until he passed away. Now
Yeah.
that he's gone, I put it in the book.
Yeah.
And it's not such a cool story, man.
I'm sure you knew some of the pioneers like Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and those guys.
I got to work with all of them.
Yeah.
All the icons.
Yeah.
I mean, Ray Charles. Who's better
Ray
than Ray
Charles.
Charles?
Yeah.
But my favorite, I have to say, I liked all the doo-wop groups,
Mhm.
okay? Flamingos, harp tones. But I thought the best singers were Johnny Maestro,
Johnny
Jimmy
Maestro,
Beaumont,
Brooklyn Bridge.
Little Anthony,
Yeah.
and Frank Sinatra, of course, because I loved all kinds of music. I learned to play my harmonica listening to polkas. So
Oh,
we were a polka band.
Really?
Italian.
I didn't know that.
But
Italian
we were
polka
playing
band.
polkas. But I love all kinds of music, and my favorite singer and the best Mr. Excitement, I called him, and everybody did, Jackie Wilson. I mean,
Jackie Wilson.
come on.
Yeah.
Jackie Wilson went on stage. He closed every show at the Brooklyn Fox that I did, except he shared it with Johnny Mathis, different kind of singing.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby Rydell closed it a couple of times, but it's just incredible. Frankie Avalon, all friends of mine. Tony Orlando. It's like my kumbada. You know, Johnny Maestro is my kumbada. I mean, you know, my heart will never be the same when we lost Johnny.
Yeah.
To me, he was the guy you want to aspire to be.
Right.
And here's another thing, and I don't think this is even in the book, but I said to him, Johnny, if I had your voice, he said, Joey, if I could dance and perform like you on stage, I'd be in Vegas. And I said, if I had your voice, I'd be in Vegas. So, you know, you don't get it all sometimes, but what he got was God-given. Yeah. What I got, you know, I learned from Jackie Wilson and all the other greats, Lou Richard, Vance Domino. These are my idols.
And another
course,
guy,
great James Brown, man.
James Brown
in the book.
Yeah. Another guy with
what.
There it is.
Man. And just on the back cover, you won't believe the people and the comments they made about it. I'm overwhelmed, and it's just humbling. It's very humbling that these great acts and entertainers are talking kind words and about this kid from a blue collar family, first generation American. Both my parents born there, and they're talking these great words of how great I am. Are you kidding me? Come on.
You know what's cool though is that review by Julian Lennon, because he's relatively a young guy, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, but I'm probably one of the few guys that can say they worked with his father and got to meet him and hung out with him.
Exactly.
You know, not too many.
Yeah.
Not too many.
I had Julian on the show. He's a nice guy.
Did you really?
I did.
Well, I want to get him on my website. I have a contact with him. He's
good.
Living in Europe, and he said some great things about it. And Aaron Neville, the Neville brothers. I mean, this is my kind of music, man.
Me too.
You know?
Me too, man. Here's an interesting question I ask everybody. I get some interesting answers. If you had a Field of Dreams wish,
remember what I told you about the question, you're going to get an answer.
That's fine with me.
All right.
If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
Oh man, There's so many. Boy.
And you know
I
everybody.
already told you my heroes. It can't be one person.
Okay.
It can't be one. It would be if I were writing, Bob Gaudio, definitely.
Right.
If I were on stage, Jackie Wilson and Ray Charles, Sinatra.
Sinatra.
You know, I don't think Nat King Cole. I mean, I
Oh,
have so many heroes
yeah.
in the music business, and they all affected me, and they created what Joey Dee and the Starlighters evolved into.
Mhm.
That's the sound that we had, and it's just me. I wish I could give you a one person or one
It's
word
hard.
answer.
It's
I
tough.
don't have one.
Yeah.
There
It's
there are
tough.
just too many greats that I I knew personally,
Yeah.
but it's just their their works and the series of works. I mean,
Mhm.
they've been stars for 50, 60 years. It's incredible. And here I am, I'm still singing. I'm not in their category, but
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, just to be around, to have lived during that particular time, to
Exactly.
get to this point, and
Exactly.
I'm telling you things firsthand, folks.
Right.
It's not like somebody writing about Abe Lincoln and they got to do research and this and that. I lived
You
this
lived
story.
it. Yeah.
This is my story.
Great book. 5 stars all the way, man.
Thank you.
5 stars.
Thank you, man.
I was a top 40 disc jockey back in the late 70s. And I grew up in the 60s listening to, I love top 40. But the great thing back then, you had Joey Dee on the radio, you had Frank Sinatra on the radio, like you said, you had Jackie Wilson. I mean, what a combination,
Isn't that great?
music for
Yeah, it was
everyone.
a potpourri of the
Yeah,
best of music.
yeah. The only way music's going to come back again if we had that kind of programming in radio again,
I'm going to offend some people now, but like I told you, I'm going to tell you like it is. People say, "What do you think of rap music?" First of
Mhm.
all, that's an oxymoron.
Right.
Rap is not music. It's
It's not.
just somebody with a great beat. I'll give him that
Right.
because I was a dance fan,
Right.
and I always like a great beat. But I say in 3 words, I'll tell you what I think of rap. Rap is crap. Okay, and that's that. One Jersey boy's opinion, folks. If you don't like it, too bad.
Yeah. I played the first commercial rap tune on the air in '79.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the Sugar
I
Hill
mean,
Gang.
I never knock success, Ray Ray. Don't get
Yeah,
me wrong.
right,
I mean, I give them all the credit in the world. Well, they're making millions and millions and millions, and that's cool. Just like the English invasion, they made
right.
all the money, and then, like you say, disco came in. But there's some disco that's great music,
Oh yeah,
man.
oh
Some of
yeah.
it's great.
I agree. Joey,
Yep.
I just don't understand though where you get the '60s and '70s classy R&B bands, the way they dress, the way they dance, and then you end up having rap nowadays. I don't know what happened.
Well, that was the evolution. I
You
don't know
know,
what happened either, but I think the demise of this
right?
was Woodstock. That's
Yeah.
when it all went down because
Mm-hmm.
all the acts dressed down. Instead of dressing up,
Right.
they dressed down.
Yeah.
What do you, what do you,
Yeah.
I got on
Yeah.
stage with, I did a few gigs with guys from the 60s, but Tommy James wasn't like that. Um, Gary Puckett wasn't like that.
Yep.
Maestro and Brooklyn Bridge or the
Right.
Crest, they weren't like that.
Right.
You know, all of these groups, Larry Chance, the girls, and the girl groups, they always dress beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
The Shirelles, the Ronettes, come on.
Yeah.
Who's better than them? Chiffons, on and on and on ad infinitum. Like I say, folks, we came from the best generation, the World
I
War II
agree.
generation, the
Exactly.
best that America ever had, ever will have, I think. But we learned some of the great things that they learned the hard way,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
saved this country.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
My
So
dad is
you
still
better
around.
do this to them.
Yeah.
Those are my heroes. You have heroes today. I
Yeah.
used to have Roy Rogers, John Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
That kind of hero. Okay,
Yep.
we had heroes back then,
Yep.
but nowadays my heroes are these guys
Yeah, I agree.
and gals and the first responders.
Yep.
Those are my heroes.
Joey, your big thing was hanging out and singing with Sammy Davis. I hung out with Ted Williams for 2 hours.
I'm a hey, I'm a baseball fan. You know, I grew up a Yankees fan. I live in
Yeah.
Clearwater now. We got the Rays, and
Yeah.
as long as they're not playing the Yankees, I root for them. Because I'm a local boy. I've been here since '89,
Yep.
and they were in the World Series last year,
I'm a Rays fan.
and they spent $15 on that team.
Yeah, I know. It's
You
amazing,
know,
isn't
the
it?
Yankees, how many millions did they spend? And,
Jo-
and they're going to be in a wild card. This is going to be fun. That's my favorite sport because, you know, I used to be 6'2", but after all these years, I'm only 5'6". But I played shortstop in my high school team,
Uh-huh.
and that's always been my favorite. Phil Rizzuto.
Bill Rizzuto.
That was my
Yeah.
hero. So and Pee Wee Reese in the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And I used to love the rivalry. And I have an older brother who had the good sense. He took me to Yankee Stadium, the real one.
Mhm.
He took me to the Polo Grounds.
Yeah.
He took me to Ebbets Field.
Wow.
Not many people can say they've been to all three. I've been to
Wow.
all three, thanks to my brother Albie.
Joey, you know where I live, right? Do you know where I live?
No.
Bradenton.
Oh my goodness. You're right down the street. Well, how come we don't have lunch or a cup of
We
coffee?
should. I cover Ruth Eckerd Hall over there in Clearwater all the time.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I was supposed to do the show. They have a Christmas show here with Bowser every December.
Yeah. Are you going to be on that bill?
I can't because I'm booked at the Bergen Pack Center in New Jersey.
That's a shame.
I got one date in December. Guess when it is? December 11th. The same date that Ruth Eckerd is having their rock and roll show.
That's a shame.
And I think my name is still on the billboard. They don't realize that. I have a commitment from 2 years ago, you know, prior to the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's just funny how life works, huh?
We live in a beautiful place, huh?
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't tell everybody because then they'll all move here, and then we'll have to move back to Brooklyn, New Jersey.
I came here 18 years ago from DC, so I'm from up there near your near New Jersey, not far from New Jersey.
Right.
Joey, have anything else you want to add or promote or anything?
Listen, this is what I'm proud of because the story that I told you about tells you a lot of times that I encountered the race issue with my group and how Joey Dee handled it. Okay, folks,
Right.
That's how it is. Read it. It's worth your money, and hopefully it's going to be a bestseller.
I think so.
Everybody on the back, you know, means it's 5-star book, man.
Definitely.
And we got a bestseller here. That would be the crowning glory for me.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, #1 hit record.
Yep.
And a best-selling author.
Yep.
Be good for a blue-collar kid.
Well, you got some great people backing it up. I'm telling you.
Well, thank you. And Ray, thank you. You're one.
Thank you.
And we got to get together. Call me.
Sure.
You know, when you're feeling well and I'm okay, we'll get together.
Okay.
We'll have lunch. We got a place here in Clearwater called Lenny's.
Okay.
That I have lunch. Whenever I have lunch out of my house, it's at Lenny's, and that's where I meet everybody.
Right. Yeah, I go to Clearwater a lot. I go to Clearwater. I go to Largo for the cultural center there. I cover shows
Well,
there.
there you go. I'm very close, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
You get that close, you get to Largo. The next town is Clearwater.
Yeah.
Right up the street.
I want to thank
You're
also.
a good guy, Ray. You're a
Thank
good
you.
guy.
So are you. I want to
feel the
thank
vibe.
Renee as well for sticking with me
My daughter-in-law, she's
and rescheduling.
She's in charge, and she worked for Barry Gibb for like 20 years.
Really? Is that right?
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she knows everybody in show business.
Yeah. Well, she's awesome. She stuck with
thank
me
you
when
so
I was
much. I'll tell her
not
that.
feeling well.
Well, she'll see this. She'll
Yeah.
see this.
Well, tell her I'm going to send all the published links to her. There'll be lots of links. I'm going to promote the heck out of the book. So there'll be
And I appreciate that so much.
a lot of coverage.
And I just want to say to you, as we say in Yiddish, State buono, okay?
I just want to say,
and what's coming up, Happy
Yep.
New Year, Happy New Year just passed for my Jewish friends.
that's right.
And Happy Hanukkah
Yom
coming up.
Kippur.
And
Yeah.
Merry Christmas and God bless everybody.
God
Oh,
bless
by
you
the way,
too.
great birthday Christmas present.
That's right.
No, I'm
Perfect gift.
shamelessly pumping the book, folks.
I just
That's
want to
it.
say you can find out all the information about Joey Dee at www.joeydee.com. That's your official site. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, and you can buy the book at Amazon or probably everywhere, Barnes and Noble, anywhere where they sell books, you can buy the book. It's a great book, 5 stars all the way. And Peppermint Twist Chronicles, Joey Dee.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Joey. Take care. God bless you.
God bless you, man.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.